Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again for another episode of WTF Did I Just Blind Buy, and I'm going to be talking about Nishane Sultan Vetiver, so stay tuned for that. And if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. I don't typically recommend blind buying fragrances, and in fact I would discourage anyone from doing that, especially more expensive fragrances like this one. I would always say, you should sample first, because even the fragrances that are the most mass appealing, some people don't like them. So I kind of do this once in a while for fun. I accept the fact that sometimes I might get a fragrance that I don't like, and that's just the way that it is when you blind buy. So Nishane, everybody's heard, or at least most people have now heard about Nishane. They're a very popular brand. They're well known for things like Hachivat and Annie, Fan Your Flames also, which I did purchase on a blind buy. And so I was definitely exploring vetiver fragrances more. I wanted to try this one out because, of course, I was very impressed with Fan Your Flames. Wanted to try something vetiver dominant from the house. Just before I get into the fragrance, I'll talk about the presentation. Now, the presentation is pretty standard for all Nishane fragrances. As I always like to mention, I absolutely love these caps. So they have an old style cap where they're just smooth and round, but on these newer style caps, they have a very nice pattern on them, as you can see. It just looks very cool, very interesting, and very elegant. The bottle itself, very simple, straightforward. Mumbai. That's going to be, I don't remember what that exactly refers to, whether this is a fragrance that's made in Mumbai or it's designed to, in some way, appeal to or represent the city or the area, because you'll find that all of the fragrances do have a different name on them. Anyways, Sultan Vetiver. Let's get into the fragrance. Now, Sultan Vetiver, I gotta say, I'm a little at odds with it. I do like it, but I do find that the way that they describe it and the way that I find that it actually is definitely a little bit different. So let me spray it on a little bit more. Just to go through the opening again. The opening, I think it gets described as a very bright and green opening. And, the thing is that I find that it is to a degree. So you do have this contrast between the earthy and dark, and I do find a little bit smoky in the opening vetiver with these bright, juicy bergamot that really actually gives it an almost candied appeal. Like, honestly, it is slightly green. It is a little bit contrastive. I find also in the opening, though, that really, that a little bit more green, a little bit more juicy aspect definitely overtakes the vetiver. Now, that opening lasts for, I don't know, I would say about an hour, and before it starts to change again. Now, the other thing that I will say about this that I guess gave me a little bit of odds is it's not as complex as I had originally thought, and it isn't as complex as the description makes you think that it is. Now, it does have, I believe, 4 different kinds of vetiver in it, and I do get a little bit of a difference here in the opening and in the dry down. But it is at the same time a very simplistic fragrance in the sense that what it is dominant vetiver notes that give you a little bit different character. Now, the smokiness, that earthiness is definitely there, and in the mid you definitely get a little bit more of that earthiness as the citrus elements start to tone down. Now, moving into the dry down, the thing that I continually think about this one a little bit, and I might do a comparison video just to actually put them side by side and see, is it does make me think a little bit of Ancre Noir. Now, not in the opening as much, but definitely more in the dry down. So in the dry down, it gets to be this sort of what I call a marshy accord. Now, what that is to me is sort of that grassy vetiver with what comes off as almost a little bit aquatic. Now, I wouldn't say that it's aquatic, but there is something about it that's a little bit watery and gives me the impression of like this earthy marsh. You can see the tall grass standing in the marsh, and there's a little bit, of course, water down at the base of the grass. And that's really the impression that it gives in the dry down. And I would say, throughout this, the vetiver almost unanimously at every stage does have an earthy appeal to it. It does have a little bit of smokiness in the opening. It doesn't come across super woody. I know sometimes vetiver can smell a little bit more like a woodsy note than more as what this is, vetiver note. And so I do get definitely that prominent vetiver. And I would say, you know, if you like vetiver, this is one to try. I actually want to put this in, I would say this is in contention for the best vetiver fragrance. Absolutely. And that's really what they were going for, this very classy, elegant, vetiver dominant feel. And it does give you some different facets of vetiver. You get the earthiness. There's a little bit of inkiness I find in the mid. There is that smoky kind of aspect that you can get with vetiver in the opening. And in the dry down, you get that earthy, marshy kind of a vibe. So it is actually a very nice vetiver fragrance. And there is that contrast throughout. So yes, it is somewhat complex. It is one that definitely showcases the different sides of vetiver. I guess I found that the description maybe oversold what it actually is and what it actually does. So anyways, the other thing to say about this one is the performance. Now, longevity on this is phenomenal. So this is like a 12-hour fragrance for me easily. I tried it on, or I put it on even last night, and I wake up in the morning still quite strong. So this is easily a 12-hour fragrance. It's going to last through whatever situation you have. And it is one that projects decently. Now, it isn't super beast mode. I know like Fan Your Flames is very strong for me. Annie is very, very strong. This one does project, but it isn't like absolutely monstrous. So it isn't going to like fill an entire room. This one, I'm happy to go a little bit more sprays than I usually would. But I feel like this is a fantastic vetiver fragrance. And for vetiver lovers or people who want to try something with vetiver, this is certainly not a bad choice at all. And it's something to get your nose on. Now, as I did allude to a little bit of Encre Noir, this fragrance is one of the reasons why I started to really appreciate Encre Noir. Like, I liked it before, but after smelling this, of course, this is very high quality fragrance, very luxurious, and also very expensive. And with Encre Noir, you get, I mean, not the same thing, but you do get a nice part of this. I'll say you get a piece of this fragrance. And for the price point, you can get it for like $25. I think that's really fantastic. I think I am going to do a side-by-side comparison because that's oftentimes I find I end up thinking of a fragrance and then I'll test them side-by-side and be like, oh, you know, they're not actually that similar. But there are, I mean, given that this is supposed to have virtually every different kind of facet of vetiver, it should be no surprise that it should probably remind you of a lot of different vetiver fragrance, at least partially. And like I said, they're not the same, but a part of this is in an Encre Noir for sure. But it is a nice, gentlemanly fragrance. I think this is one that can be worn classy. You want to wear it up. You certainly can. A nice suit. This is a gentleman's fragrance. You can wear it to formal occasions. But I also find with vetiver, it's one of those fragrances that's really nice for gloomy days. You know, it's a little bit overcast, a little bit raining. It's good for that. Also, spring, I think, is a fantastic time to wear this. Now, given that I find the opening to be a little bit smoky, I think it's certainly a fall fragrance as well. And it is probably strong enough you can wear it in the winter, depending on where you live. It isn't one that I find, despite the fact that it performs really well, it isn't one that's really in your face. So that's actually a good point. And I think that's a good quality for this fragrance because of the fact that it's a gentleman's fragrance. It's one that certainly people are going to smell on you. And it's going to perform and last and has good sillage. But it isn't one that is so overpowering when you smell it, even up close or far away, that it becomes too much, that it dominates, you know, the room, it dominates everything. And, you know, there's a time and a place for fragrances like that. And, you know what, I like putting on crazy beast mode fragrances too. But for me, if you want to ask me about what I feel should be a characteristic of a gentleman's fragrance, and this is kind of what I mean when I say a gentleman's fragrance, it shouldn't be dominating. It should be something that invites you in. It should be something that people, you know, find or draws them into you. And this is something that I think this fragrance can do because it isn't so overpoweringly strong that it's just like screams at people, yes, I'm here. You know, as I mentioned, there's a time and a place or moods to put on fragrances like that. But vetiver is one of those things that is a bit more of considered a classy gentleman's scent profile. And this is definitely one of the best, I will say. Really do enjoy this one. I'm glad I got it. So going to be wearing this one a little bit more, and it's definitely one for more classy occasions. I know you can get it on the gray market for a decent price. I think I only paid about $130. I think I paid less than that. I think I actually paid $115 for this. And honestly, that's like a high-end designer price. And I think it's definitely worth it at that price point. I think retail it's around $195, but I know you can get it on the gray market for cheaper than that. Not quite half price, but you can definitely get it for at least $60, $70 cheaper, which is a good thing to do. If you can, save yourself some of that money. But like I said, sample it first. So far, like I said, very impressed with the House of Nishane. I have tried 4 of their fragrances. I do enjoy 3 of them, and the 4th one I don't hate. It just wasn't really... it wasn't really my thing, I guess you could say. Actually, I've tried 5 of their fragrances, and 4 of them I really like, and one of them, the one that I'm not a huge fan of, being Annie, I didn't hate, but it was not for me. Do really like this one, Fan Your Flames, Wulong Cha. Right now, those are the top 3. I've also tried Uma Madam, I can't say it right. We'll be doing a review of that one soon. I think it's probably a good winter fragrance, and it is quite a nice release from them. Anyways, guys, I'm going to end the video there. What's your favorite vetiver fragrance? Have you tried anything from Nishane? Have you tried Sultan Vetiver? Let me know in a comment down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.